If you're building a SaaS product and you're in that idea stage, that pre-revenue stage, that pre-launch stage, here's the thing that I learned the hard way. You're really never gonna know if someone is telling you the truth about what they think about your product until you ask them to swipe the credit card or fill out the payment link or sign that purchase order. I've been at my points in my own startup journey where I built out a product and I was building it. As I was building it, I asked the people, hey, what do you think about this product? And I pitched them on it and everyone said it's really cool. And they rooted me on as I was building it. But I spent weeks, if not years, building some of these products. And in the end, when I launched it or when I put it out there, when I actually asked for people to actually pay for the product, they didn't buy. So this begs the question, how do you actually go about properly validating your startup ideas? How do you make sure you don't waste months building the wrong product? How do you figure out if someone's just being nice to you or they're actually going to buy when you build that one more feature? In this episode, having taken multiple companies to product market fit and growth and exits, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 principles that I follow when validating startup ideas. And when you implement these 3 principles, you are gonna be able to make sure that you don't waste months building the wrong product, but instead, you're gonna be able to make sure that you actually get to product market fit and those initial revenues. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So if you're new, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon, so you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. Now, if you're already part of this community, if you're part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching programs, my people, welcome back. It's really awesome to see you over here. Now, on this channel, I talk a lot about the companies that have built, started, scaled, and exited. Now, one of the companies I don't talk about as much is this company called Braintrust. And the reason I don't talk about it as much is because, honestly, it hurts. But secondly, I spent months, actually probably more like a year and a half, maybe 2 years, nights and weekends, toiling away at Braintrust. And it wasn't that I just built it in a vacuum. I actually talked to people. I asked them questions. I validated the idea with people, asking them, hey, would you be interested in this? Would you use this? And based on that feedback and based on the features they asked for, I kept building that product. But ultimately, months went by, and in fact, more than a year went by. By the time I launched it, by the time I started asking people for money, they just wouldn't buy it. And that's when I realized it wasn't that they were inherently lying to me. People were being nice. They don't want to just tell you like, hey, your idea sucks or it's terrible. So they say, oh, that's cool. What if you added this feature? And I would say, oh yeah, that's a great idea. I'll add that feature, thinking that if I add that one more feature, then my product will finally be ready. And then I'll launch. And then all these people that say it's so cool are going to buy. Ultimately, I realized that no one actually wanted Braintrust. It wasn't really solving the right problem. And there wasn't really a market for it, but I wasted months building it. Fast forward to today, I've taken multiple companies to product market fit. My last company, ToutApp, I scaled it and exited it. And now I've helped hundreds of founders actually take ideas to revenues and scale their companies and exit their companies. So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through the 3 principles that I've learned using the lean UX approach on how to actually validate your startup ideas so that you don't waste months building the wrong product. You don't waste months listening to people thinking that they're totally going to buy, even though they're probably not going to buy. And I'm going to help you shortcut all those mistakes that I had to learn the hard way. So if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's dig right into it. Okay, so principle number 1 is before you write a line of code, before you start to think about pitching people on something and getting their opinion, principle number 1 in validating your startup idea is to just validate it with your brain. The framework that I like to use is you want to be solving a problem more than an idea. So get out of thinking about your idea and start thinking about the problem you solve. The problems that hit product market fit are going after a specific market where it solves an urgent problem that is important and for a market that actually has budget. I'll hold this over here so you can actually screenshot this, but urgent, important, and with budget are the 3 criterias that I look for when trying to first figure out, hey, is this an idea that's worth pitching, worth pursuing, worth going after? Because before I even pitch someone on it, I should intellectually be able to figure out and do the research on figuring out, hey, for this idea, does it actually solve an urgent and important problem for a market that actually has budget to solve for it? These 3 things at the intersection of all of that is where you tend to find product market fit and a market that's worth selling into. And what I found, and this is something that Baby TK made the mistake with Brain Trust, is that I was building all these features and people thought it was cool, but ultimately the reason they didn't swipe the credit card or they didn't buy or they didn't really move on it was because it really wasn't aligned with an urgent and important problem that they had in their lives and had budget to actually solve for. And that's where it fell apart. And since then, I've talked about ToadApp in this channel. I've talked about Instant and Megaphone, the other companies I'm building, even here at Unstoppable. Unstoppable is a company that I've been building. For all of those, I learned the hard way that it's not worth pursuing an idea unless you really align it with an urgent, important problem and a market that actually has budget. So that's principle number one in validating your startup idea. So before you do anything, before you write a line of code, before you go out there, you really want to ask yourself, hey, is this an urgent problem? Is this an important problem? And do they have budget to actually solve for this problem? Because if you have those three, then chances are you're more likely to be successful with this idea. Step number two in this process that I use is to actually build out the value proposition. Your value proposition is the one line that clearly articulates the urgent, important problem that you solve, who it's for, and why you're 10 times better in solving for it. A lot of times when I meet founders, they're like, hey, let me explain what we're really doing. And they're like, can you sit down? Let me like draw it out for you. And I'm like, listen, even if I were to sit down, even if I owed you one and I'm gonna sit down and listen to you, most of your customers aren't gonna do that. The world is a noisy place. So you really need to be able to hook me with your value proposition, your one-line value proposition within 10 to 15 seconds. Otherwise, you're not gonna earn the right to ever explain to me why you're 10 times better, or why I should buy from you, or why I should do a demo, or why I should do a free trial. The biggest thing to work on once you have this thesis is to really figure out, hey, what is the value proposition for this startup idea? Now, let me pause here for a second. These are two steps that honestly, I didn't clearly do, and a lot of founders don't do. And depending on where you are in your journey, maybe you are out there looking for the right idea and you really want to become an entrepreneur. Or maybe you've already been kind of tinkering away, or you're building a product. Maybe you built a product and you're just stuck and you're not finding a way forward. And believe me, I've been there and it hurts. And you're like, what is wrong with me? Why am I an idiot? I keep seeing on TechCrunch on how these people got to $1 million ARR in like 3 days, and why am I not being able to do this? So first, let me just say that you're not an idiot. What you're likely missing are some base principles on what makes for a successful business. The thing is, I can code. I'm an engineer. I have a computer science degree. And I learned that in order to be successful as a startup founder, as an entrepreneur, as a SaaS founder, you have to get great at sales and marketing, which is why I really learned go-to-market. And that's why I talk about a lot of that in this channel. But ultimately, what really drives me is building great products and getting it in the hands of people. And that's likely where you are too. You really want to build a great product. And so because of that, it's so easy to get caught up in your idea because you're like, oh my God, this is gonna be the best thing. I have this problem. I'm gonna pay for it. It's urgent and important for me. So everyone's gonna want it. But that act of actually, honestly, intellectually asking yourself, is there a real market? Is there enough people that have this urgent and important problem and has the budget to solve it? And for these people, can I communicate to them with a value proposition that explains, hey, we solve this urgent and important problem in this unique way and it's 10 times better than whatever you have. Do you want to buy? Those two things alone will get you out of what I refer to as being an artist, because you're falling in love with the art you're creating and starting to think about, well, how do I sell this art? And do other people, will they find value in this art? And so if you're starting to get the power in just these two steps, I haven't gotten to the third step yet, which brings together the lean UX approach. Can I just get, let me hear from you, but just put a yes in the comments below or an amen in the comments below, because you're right in that stage. And believe me, I've been there, so I feel you. So put a yes in the comments or put an amen in the comments if you're hearing what I'm saying. And also smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really loves it when you do that, and so do we. Also, if you're in this stage where you're trying to figure out how to actually validate your idea and think about, well, what are the markets that I should be going after? How do I craft my value proposition the right way? Words matter. How do I structure it in the right way? And this is why I have my SaaS Launch Program. You don't have to go anywhere right now. I'll tell you more about it at the end of this episode. Let's go to principle number 3. Principle number 3 is the lean UX approach, where you actually validate your idea using a landing page. So there's 3 steps to this, but the whole idea behind this is before you even build the product or the full version of the product, or you're at that stage where you're like, oh, I just need this one more feature and then my product will be ready. Before you do any of that and waste months because you may be building something that no one wants, or maybe you're just starting out, you want to avoid wasting months. What you really want to do is follow this lean UX approach to actually get the end result out there. And I learned this principle from Jeff Bezos originally, the core principle of it, because he talked about in Amazon, before they did a product initiative, before they tried anything, what they did was they forced themselves to write the press release of what they were bringing to the market. And it's a similar idea of what I'm about to show you, because it forces you to fast forward to it. Well, the product's built, how do we sell it? And really, really face the market, which in a way is facing reality, which is super scary, but to do it so that you really understand the right product to build. So the 3 steps that go into this lean UX approach is, number 1, you create a landing page. And on that landing page, you put your value proposition and you explain exactly what your product does and how it solves the problem. On that landing page, you're going to collect the email address. So you don't fully have a product yet. You may not have a full demo. If you do, you can put those in. But what you really want to do is collect their email address and drive them to book a call with you. And on that call, you really want to explain what you're doing. If you have mock-ups of the product, great. If you have even a spreadsheet explaining what the output's going to be, that's totally fine. You really want to explain what the problem is you're solving, why it's important and urgent, ask them if it's important and urgent to them, and then basically see if they're willing to pay $1,000 to work with you to implement everything as a design partner, as one of the first customers. And at the end of that, they're either going to say yes or no. If they say, yeah, absolutely, please take my credit card. This is an urgent, important problem. No one else is solving it in this way. So we really want to learn more. We'll do the $1,000. Then say, okay, cool. Well, the product's not fully ready yet. We'll put you on a wait list and then we'll circle right back to you. But if they say no, if they're like, hey, this is just like not a priority, then you can ask them more questions around why is it not a priority and what do you need to change and how do you actually build the product that would be a priority. Or you realize that this is just not an urgent, important problem because you talked to enough people and no one wanted to buy. Either way, this way of validating, where you start to put the landing page out there, put that press release out there, collect the emails of the people that are interested, book calls with them, and then pre-sell them, it helps you validate exactly what the market is thinking. So let's recap on how these 3 pieces come together. Step number 1, as you're evaluating a startup idea, is figure out, are you solving an urgent and important problem? And the market that has this urgent and important problem, do they have the budget to actually solve for it? Because if they don't have budget, you don't have customers, you don't have a business. So you want to make sure it's urgent, important, and they have the budget. And that's where you find product market fit. And that's how you find the right market to go after and validate the idea. Once you have that, the second principle is to craft your value proposition. Value proposition is the 1 sentence that explains who's it for, what's the problem, what's the solution, why are you 10 times better? You want to craft it in the right way. And the third thing is deploy the landing page and collect the emails and then get on the calls. Get on as many calls as you can and pre-sell them on it for $1,000. If they say yes, then awesome. You're starting to get a good signal. You have your first set of customers on the waiting list and you bring them up as fast as possible as you build the product. And if you get a bunch of no's, then you can probe and start to understand and kind of go back to your thesis of, well, is this urgent? Is it important? And is this actually going to get us budget? Are we actually going to get customers? It helps you just understand and stress test the thesis. So now you know how you can use this lean UX approach, this unique approach to actually figure out how to validate your startup ideas. And that way, not only avoid wasting months building the wrong product, not only do you avoid being stuck in the one more feature trap, which I've been guilty of, you actually accelerate your path to finding product market fit, your first 10, 25 customers, and then you can build out a much more scalable go-to-market machine to scale from there. So now you know exactly the 3 steps that I follow to validate startup ideas and get them into market and get the first set of customers. Now, what you may not know is, hey, TK, how do I figure out if this is an urgent, important problem and if they have budget? You may be wondering, how do I actually craft a proper value proposition? You may be wondering, well, what does this funnel look like? I call this my unstoppable mini funnel, where I have the landing page, I collect the emails, and then I get on a call, and I structure the calls a certain way to actually pre-sell these things. So you may be wondering how to actually implement all of these steps. So if you want the cheat codes to implement all these steps, this is why I now have my SaaS Launch Program. So the SaaS go-to-market program, which I talk about in majority of my videos, are really about scaling SaaS companies. You've got revenues and now you need to build a scalable go-to-market machine. But I get plenty of founders coming to me and saying, hey, I need help actually getting to my first set of customers, to validating my idea, to actually launching. So this is why I have my SaaS Launch Program. Inside of this program, I guide you step by step on how to flesh out your thesis to make sure you're solving an urgent and important problem. I give you the tools to actually research the markets you're going after. I give you the step-by-step process to build out your value proposition, and I give you the step-by-step process to build and launch your unstoppable mini funnel so you can get on these calls, all the way down to I give you the exact script to follow on how to run these calls. It's an incredible program. We've had tremendous success stories. So if you'd like to join and work with me, just go to tkkader.com/start. tkkader.com/start, and you'll get all the details. The better the fit, the better the results. So what we have is a very simple application process. When you go to the bottom of the page, you'll see a little application form. What you'll do is fill out a set of questions that I've devised to make sure I can understand what you're doing and if the program is a good fit for you. Once you submit your application, I will review it personally, and if it's a fit, I will send you the onboarding information and get you started. In addition to the training, you also get access to my community of other founders that are building companies, and you get a monthly coaching call where you can come on. And on this group call, I bring on founders one at a time so I can coach you and help you navigate the process and implement everything in the training. It's an incredible program, so just go to tkkader.com/start. Now, if you got value from this video, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm if you haven't already. If you have a fellow co-founder or a team member that would get value from this, please share this with them as well. I want to serve as many founders as possible. I want to empower as many teams as possible to be building incredible software companies. Also, I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon, where you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode or inside of the monthly coaching call for the SaaS Launch Program. Take care, everybody.